Hi everyone. Every now and then comes a new technology that blows the mind of the community. When it comes to AI, these technologies are actually going to change the future and the way things are being done in a lot of industries. And today in this video, we are going to look at such technology.
I mean, you can actually sound like Morgan Freeman. Yes, yes. I know it's hard to believe.
But really, you can actually sound like Bill Burr. I mean, it is real. You can actually literally sound like Burr.
Or, if you really want to, you can even sound like SpongeBob. Ah!
This is not another text-to-voice engine. You're not typing text and it will say it in a predefined or pre-trained voice. You can mimic every voice and it actually changes your own voice. The advantage here is that you can play with your voice, change the pitch, and have actual emotion with a little bit of voice acting. You can mimic anyone. And all this for completely free on your local machine. It doesn't require a high-end GPU.
And the best of all, you can actually create the singer that sings.
So let's not waste any more time and set up RVC and start transforming our voices. Let's see what the future holds. So the easiest way to install RVC is basically use something called Pinokio. In previous videos of mine, I already talked about installing Pinokio. So in this video, I'm only going to give you a quick rundown how to do it. It's very simple. Of course, all the links will be in the description. You simply go to Pinokio website. And here you just click download. What Pinokio is basically is a one-click installer for many open source and free models for AI. And it deals with a lot of models that you can find online. It's very nice. It's very controllable because every installment has its own environment, so things don't clash and collide one another. I'm using Windows, so I'm just going to click Windows and click to download Pinokio for Windows. It will take a second and it will download a zip file. When the zip file is complete, we will just go to the downloads folder. And in the downloads folder, we will just extract the files. I'm going through it really fast. I assume that you already know how installing things work. And just double-click the setup. It will give you a warning that it is an untrusted file. Pinokio is a well-known file, is a well-known provider in the community of AI. You can trust the file. I have installed it many times. I never had any issues with it. So I just click more info and run anyway. On my computer, it's already installed, so it will simply open the active Pinokio setup. But on your computer, just follow along the instructions, choose where you want to install it like any other installer in Windows. And once you are done, it will actually open the Pinokio web UI. And here you have something called Discover. This is basically the most important area in the Pinokio because through here you can find a lot of things that you can install locally and use them. So if you scroll down in the Discover page, all the first cubes here are actually verified. Verified, it means that people already installed them and used them, and they seems to be working, and there is also a support for it. So I recommend if you download something through Pinokio, only download verified codes. Don't use the unverified codes. On the bottom here, you can find some unverified codes. That's people from the community usually uploaded, but these are things that are not verified and not been tested or yet supported. And what you're going to do here is simply click RVC. So RVC is basically retrieval-based voice conversion. What it does, it takes an audio file and takes a speech model or a voice model, and it converts the voice in the WAV file, in the audio file, to the voice in the voice model. It works amazing. The results are very high. So once you find this RVC, you simply click the cube and it will give you here a button called download. What it actually does, it automatically goes to the GitHub page and it pulls the code of this GitHub. And once you click the download, it will actually start installing the entire RVC setup. And I already installed it, so it shows here on the installed section, but just so you'll see how it works, I will install something else, and the process is exactly the same. HTTS, by the way, it's a text-to-speech engine. I already done a video about it. You can find it in previous videos. But I will click it and then I will simply click download. Now what happens is it actually asks me where I want to save the Git. I will just click download, don't change this name, and it will show me a terminal and it's cloning the setup. And immediately I can see this page and simply I'm going to click here on the install. Once I click the install, it will basically go over the code and it will install all the required packages and all the required things that it needs in order to run this specific code. And you can see here that it is advancing. It usually takes some time because Python packages are pretty heavy, and just wait it out. And once it is done, you can actually launch the thing. What you're seeing here is the antivirus says that PIP is a suspicious file, and it's okay. PIP is a known file of Python. It's a package manager of Python. It will find it that it's okay. And you can see, good news, this file looks safe. I'm going to close it and it actually continues the installment. I haven't encountered any issues so far with the antivirus or firewall softwares when it comes to installing things on Pinokio. So let's give it a few minutes to complete and we'll be back once it's done. And once it's done, usually what I do is close Pinokio and reopen it so it refreshes everything. And once it is done, it will actually show you here on the home. Once you click home, you will see the list of all the packages that are installed or the codes that are installed. And we're going to click the RVC. Once we click it, you will see here that I have a button called launch. Clicking the launch button will run the Python code that will eventually open the web UI or the web interface where we can start using this code. Let's give it a minute. And once it's done, we can see the web interface open up. Okay, so once the interface is up and running, we can actually immediately start working with it. So the first step we need to do is pick a voice model. So there are two ways to use a voice model here. You can either train one, which is a bit of a long process. It takes around 1 to 2 hours to process a voice. This is something that I will do in future videos, but at this point, I'm going to show you how to download a ready-made voice models that you can use instantly without any training. So we're going back to the model inference and we're going to a website called Voice Models. So Voice Models is Models Archive, and you can find tons of voices here. And for our demonstration, we're going to talk with Joe Rogan, which is pretty nice voice to talk with. So I just looked for Joe Rogan. It gives you some information about the voice, how many epochs it's used in order to generate this voice, and you have a download link. All the models are usually hosted on Hugging Face, and all you have to do is basically click the download link. Once you click it, it will download the voice model, and the voice model eventually is a zip file. We're going to the downloads folder, and here we're just going to extract the Joe Rogan file, and inside the folder that was opened, we will see usually two files. You will see a PTH file, which is the actual model, and you will see an index file, which is kind of a log with some more information about the model. Sometimes you won't have the index file. It's okay. You basically just need the weight file. It works a bit faster and a bit more optimized when you also have an index file. But what we're going to do is simply take these two files and we're going to the folder where Pinokio was installed, where we installed Pinokio, and there we are going to the API. In the API, we will have a folder called RVC. And inside it, we're going to app. And here we have assets. Inside the assets, you will have a folder called weights. This is basically where you put all the weights themselves. The weights are the actual models. So the PTH file is what we need. We're going to take the index file, and the index file, we will put it inside the app and the logs. And here, this is all we had to do in order to install it. And now once we'll go to the web UI and we will click refresh voice list. Once we click it, you will see here in the inferring voice that we have the Joe Rogan file, which is what we just downloaded. Okay, now let's start. We need to create an audio file. What I suggest to you is when you want to create a voice file, for example, you want to say something and then replace the voice with someone else's voice, I usually try to listen to that voice for a minute or two on YouTube or something like that. And I try to mimic as much as possible the voice that I want to be made, because there are some nuances And the voice replacements actually replace your own voice. It doesn't change the way that you speak or the pitch or the things like that. So if I want to talk like this, it will actually create this kind of talk with Joe Rogan's voice, and it will probably sound a bit off. So what I usually do, I listen to the person talking for a minute or two. I'm not going to voice it here. I don't want to deal with any copyright issues, but I am going to listen how he talks just for a minute or two so I can understand the nuances of his voice. And another thing you need to take note of is the pitch of the voice. So if I want to replace my voice with someone that has a very high voice, I will try to make my voice a bit higher, but you can compensate on it right here on the interface. Even if you have a low voice and you want to mimic a high voice, you have a pitch, and we will take a look at it in a minute. So let's go and do a recording of what we want Joe Rogan to say. Okay, so after studying for a few minutes Joe Rogan's voice, once again, I'm not going to mimic it. If I could mimic voices, I would have just done it. But I just want to understand the overall way that Joe Rogan speaks, and he speaks kind of fast, and he's got a low voice, so we're going to keep our voice a bit low. And what we're going to do is use a software called Audacity. Once again, the link is in the description. If you don't have it, you'll simply go to Audacity. It is a free audio editor. It's got a lot of features. I really encourage you to download it and use it. It's very nice. And we're just going to open it. And we're going to open it. And once we open it, we can basically start recording a voice. And let's do something like that. Yeah, so, I think that the AI Art is a very good channel, and I'm going to make sure that people like it and subscribe to it. So, as I said, like it and subscribe it. Thank you. So, this is what we're going to use, and we want this small sentence. I'm going to delete the excessive silence, and we just want this sound. Let's take a hear of it. Yeah, so I think that the AI Art is a very good channel, and I'm going to make sure that people like it and subscribe to it. So as I said, like it and subscribe it. Thank you. And we're going to file and export audio, and we're going to export it as a WAV file, and I will just call it Joe Rogan and export it. And once it is done, we can basically close the Audacity file. We're not going to save it because we already have the WAV file. And here we're going to choose the Joe Rogan. And here we're going to paste the path to the file that we just created. So the easiest way to do it is just go to the place where you saved the file. And where you saved the file, you can simply hold shift on your keyboard and right click it. Once you hold shift and right click it, you will add some advanced features, and one of them is the copy as path. And what copy as path does, it actually copies the entire path to the file. You don't really have to have the quotes here. The quotes are used if you have spaces in your file name, so you can leave it basically. And once we directed it to the correct file, we can simply click convert. Now, sometimes you might see on the first time that you're using it, this error. If you look on the terminal, you will see that it tells you that it couldn't find the file rmvpe.pt. If that is the case on your end, what you have to do is open the link in the description where you can download the rmvpe model. This is basically the model that does the conversion of the voices. And as I said, the link is in the description. So we'll just open up this link, and here on this link you will see, you should scroll down until you see the file rmvpe.pt. You can simply click download on the file, and once you downloaded the file, we're just going to move it to where we have the Pinokio API RVC installed. We're going to app, we're going to assets, and here under rmvpe, we're simply going to paste the file that we just downloaded. Now if we'll click convert once again, you will see that it didn't do the error, and it actually take a few seconds, and let's hear what we've got. Yeah, so I think that the AI Art is a very good channel, and I'm going to make sure that people like it and subscribe to it. So as I said, like it and subscribe it. Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Joe. I really appreciate it. Once we see how it works, let's go over a bit about all the settings that we have here. I'm not going to go over all the tabs here. The training is kind of straightforward. All you have to do is generate a 10-minute file of your own audio that you want to generate. I will do a future video about it. I'm not going to get into it right now. It's going to be a long video if I do. But I am going to show you a bit what are these things here. And what we have here is the select speaker singer ID. So if you have several voices on the WAV file, you can basically change the ID in order to say, okay, I want to use the first voice or the second voice or the third voice. It's pretty nice. If the voices are very similar, it might give you some trouble, but it's very nice. Refresh voice list. It actually, if you add a new models, it means that you don't have to reload the entire interface. You just click it and you will see all the updated voices here. And here you have some settings of the voice. To tell you the truth, I played with most of them. The changes are not that much. If you have a very breathy voice like and things like that, you can play with this setting, and the lower it is, it will try to remove breathing voices and things like that. I wouldn't touch the pitching information. It's pretty straightforward. And the accent setting is actually quite nice. And in order to give you an example, I'm going to load the voice of the Terminator, and it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. And Arnold Schwarzenegger have a very deep accent. So let's see what happens if we'll take the same Joe Rogan WAV file and we'll do it with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And let's hear it.
Yeah, so I think that the ARG is a very good channel, and I'm going to make sure that people like it and subscribe to it. So, as I said, like it and subscribe it. Thank you.
Okay, so if you can hear the accent, let's say that I don't want the accent to be that obvious. I can simply scroll down and I can lower the value of the accent. And now if I'll convert, you'll see that the accent is much less emphasized.
Yeah, so I think that the ARG is a very good channel, and I'm going to...
It actually sticks more to the original accent of the speaker in the WAV file. I actually like it. I usually leave it at around 75 or 80. And you might have noticed that the voice is a bit too high to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger voice is much deeper. So what we can do, we can actually use the transpose. So transpose, let's do a -4. This means that it will lower the voice in 4 semitones. And now if we'll do convert, you will see that the output result will be much lower and much more bassy.
Yeah, so I think that the ARG is a very good channel, and I'm going to make sure that people like it and subscribe to it. So, as I said, like it and subscribe it. Thank you.
Thank you again, Arnold. And this is basically it. You can choose here which model to use, but the RMVPE is the best when it comes to performance and when it comes to output results. So I wouldn't play with it too much. And here you have some information about the file that you're using. Don't touch the index. Simply, it will choose automatically the index if it's relevant. And what I also wanted to show you is that, and one of the best things about it, it can actually use singing. So you saw it in the opening that you can actually have a singing, but let's take the file called Christina and let's give it a, and let's make Joe Rogan sing or Morgan Freeman sing. Morgan Freeman should be lower. He's got a really bass sound. So let's see what we got.
This is all the AI art. This is all the AI art channel. Where you talk about the art.
And what I wanted to show you, why it is very important to use the transpose. Let's say that we're going to take Christina's voice, which should be very high comparing it to my voice. And if we'll convert it now and we'll run it, you will see that it sounds a bit off.
This is all the AI art.
Because we made it very low. So instead, we're going to add something like 10 semitones to it. And now if I'm going to run it, it will sound much more like Christina.
This is all the AI art.
And of course, you can play with it. It is very nice to play with it because the results are really fast. As you can see, once you click convert, it takes 2 to 3 seconds. I'm not fast forwarding it. This is the actual speed.
This is all the AI.
You can also, by the way, completely replace singers from songs. There are tools that can separate the singer from the instruments, and then you can just take the singer's voice, replace it, and stitch them back together. I'm not going to go over it in here. If you really want me to do a video about it, just let me know in the comments. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please like and subscribe like Joe and Arland ask you to, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.